'cause I am amazing.
Hey, what's up you guys, and welcome back to Gal. In this video, I'm going to be talking about why I chose the Canon EOS R over the Sony A7R III. I had reached out to my friends at B&H and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about trying to get a full frame mirrorless camera to add to my video production in my studio. And I had heard a bunch of hype about the Sony A7R III from a lot of other YouTubers.
A7R III.
But I liked it so much that I was like, I gotta buy my own.
We need to treat this camera with respect.
Of the A7R Mark III.
The Sony A7R III.
And I thought, well, maybe it's time that I make the switch from Canon. So I asked for both of them to be delivered here. And the idea for this video was gonna be to have you guys help me decide which one I should choose based off the test shots and all of the tests that I was going to do. But I turned on the Sony and I was just like, no, this is not for me. And I think it's primarily because of the complex menu system and the fact that I'm so used to my Canon. But I think the best way to describe it is that it's kind of like PC versus Mac. Like for video editing, there are some awesome PC computers out there with very robust GPUs, probably perform better than most Macs, with Premiere Pro that is. However, I've been using Macs for years and I just continue to use them. So it's kind of like the same thing here, but it definitely depends on your scenario and what you need to use it for. So before I jump in, I want to tell you guys a little bit about the history of my experience with the Canon M series. I'm actually filming this right now with the other Canon M3, which is this smaller little guy here on my left. Now, you may be like, well, why do you need another camera? Well, these M cameras here, the M3 that I have, shoots 1080p HD, which is mainly what I shoot with. It's just a smaller sensor, so it doesn't have as much higher dynamic range that I was looking for with a full frame sensor like the Canon EOS R or the Sony A7R III. Now in between here I got the M50, which shoots 4K. Now it's a little bit better and it also has the flip out screen like this, and I'm still going to use this. It's just the 4K for me, I just found that it didn't do much for me. So I was like, I really need to invest in a higher end camera. So I was considering the Canon 1DX, but that was still a little bit more expensive than what I had in my budget. So when the Canon EOS R came out, I was like, okay, I want to try this, but I need to compare it to the Sony. So let me tell you about a few things that make the EOS R special for me. For one, the interface. When I turn it on, it just is so familiar to me. And there's C-Log. Now I did a whole video already on grading C-Log and what log footage is and why it's so much better to bring out the dynamic range in your shot by shooting in log. I also decided to get this as an upgrade from the M50 because when I put this on a tripod like this, I'm able to easily access the card slot on the side as well as the battery on the bottom. With the M series, I would have to take it off the tripod and take out an SD card and the battery. Also, the reason why I like the EOS R is I already have a bunch of EF lenses, so I just had to get the EF to EOS R adapter to be able to use all of my nifty 50, my 10 to 18, and my 75 to 300 lens. So another thing that makes it different, and I know that this is kind of silly, but if you notice here on the Canon EOS R, there's the strap holder loops on the side. They make no noise, but with the Sony, it came with these little metal things. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I'll hold it up to my mic. But I don't understand why they're here. I think you can take them off, but it's just silly, you know? So the Sony, it flips out like this, which is great for professional videographers if they need to be able to move this depending on the reflection of the light, but it doesn't flip out. So I wouldn't have that flexibility to be able to see myself when I'm shooting. One other thing, let me get the scale, is that the Sony is actually heavier than the Canon, and it makes a difference. Let me just turn this on here. The Sony weighs 1.78 pounds, and the Canon is 1.7. It's just a slight difference, but when you're carrying these things around, it definitely adds up. Let's actually just do some test shots here, and I can show you the difference between the Sony and the Canon. But also, before we jump in, I really wanted to shout out Potato Jet's video. He did a great video where he was comparing Canon and Sony and why he chose the Canon. And what I really liked about his video is that it was similar to my experience. It was kind of like subjective, you know what I mean? Like, you have them side by side, but at the end of the day, it's your own personal preference for what you prefer. So definitely encourage you guys to watch his video so you can see some more sample shots. But let's go ahead and do our own. So in the interface of the EOS R, it's really familiar for me. It's easy to see what's going on. I have manual focus. I have 23.98 frames per second. It's full HD, which is 1920 by 1080. I see that C-Log is enabled. I also have 1/50 shutter speed, my F number, which is the aperture at 2.8, and my ISO. And it's really easy to change that. So if I wanted to change the ISO, just the touch screen, move it back and forth. I have it low, because that's what I have for this particular scene. And again, with the shutter speed, if I wanted to change that, it's all touch screen. And if I ever needed to change the quality of what I'm recording at, you just hit that, and then here you tap this, hit set, and then you can see all the different formats you can film in. Now, this is just really intuitive for me to use, so I was able to just get started filming. Now, if I switch this 50mm and go to the Sony, let me show you what happens. Let me just put on this. You can see that I have an adapter. It's an EF adapter for the Sony. So I'm putting in the nifty 50, like so. And I want to create the same exact settings. Now this might look a lot similar to you if you're a Sony user, but for me, this is really difficult to use. I can't just tap this to change the ISO or the F number or the shutter. And I can't even figure it out. So if I hit ISO, I can adjust the ISO, but then if I hit the center button and OK, it says it's not available when I'm filming an S-Log, which is the equivalent to the Canon log. So then I have to hit OK, and then I have to hit menu to exit, and it's just not a familiar experience. So, you know, to be fair to Sony users, again, I tried to figure this out, and I couldn't figure it out, so I have to just shoot in these settings and hope that it work out. So let's try to get the same shot with the nifty 50 on of Premiere Pup as well. So that's all for this video, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you guys are the Sony A7R III lovers, no hate. I completely understand if you guys prefer that. Just for me, the Canon EOS R does the job well done. If you guys are interested in any of the equipment that I showcased today, I put links in my description box below. And those links are my affiliate links, which means if you click on it and decide to buy it, I make a small commission of the sale. So I appreciate you guys supporting me in advance. And if you guys want any personal one-on-one mentorships or free templates, you guys can head on over to patreon.com/premiergal and become a patron there. So I look forward to seeing you guys in my Patreon community. And that's all for this video. Ready to go on a walk? Let's go.